Hi, everybody, and welcome. You know, I often think about my mother and her cooking. If you had a mom who was a fabulous, fabulous cook, and I was lucky to have that, I often think about some of the dishes that she would prepare. And for example, her green beans and tomato sauce, or her cavatelli and broccoli. But there's one that comes to mind that I recently tried to duplicate, and 2 or 3 times I didn't get it exactly right, and I was so disappointed. But I think I have finally perfected it. And it was her vegetarian stuffed peppers, stuffed with a bread stuffing with parsley, garlic, and pine nuts. And so let's go to the kitchen, and I'm going to try and duplicate it, and again, do it exactly like she did it. So here we are. We went to the market and got some nice fresh bell peppers. The ones that Mom always used to use were green because the flavor seems to lend itself the best to this particular dish. But I always throw in 1 or 2 red ones because my wife likes the flavor and sweetness of the red better. And we compromise that way. But indeed, first, you've got to take these and get them ready, turn them into a shell that's ready for the stuffing. So let's take a look. Here we're gonna cut the heads off of these, right? And make a couple slits inside to get out the core. And it's easily removable. Throw that away. And you can see inside here that you want to get out some of this gristly stuff, you know, a bit anyway. Right? And then after we prepare all of the peppers this way, get the seeds out, we are going to cook them so that they won't be too crisp on the dish when you go to enjoy them. They want to be soft, and we'll show you that next. So here are the peppers after they come from the cutting board. They're all cored, cleaned, and of course I forgot to say, take out the stem from the core. You know, you end up with a little donut like that, and then a lightly oiled pan. And you see I've got foil in there to prop them up so they don't fall over. And they're going to go into a 400-degree oven, and then we're going to lower the temperature to 350 after a while. We're going to try to get them to a nice bite, a nice tender bite. It'll take probably 45 minutes to an hour. Garlic is one of the most important parts of this particular recipe. And remember Emerald, on Emerald Live, he used to say, oh, about 40 cloves of garlic, you know. Well, we're not going to use 40 cloves, but we're going to use quite a bit. I mean, I have here at least 12 to 14 cloves of garlic, and we're going to mince it up finely. There's nothing better than fresh parsley, huh? The smell is so wonderful. It's garden fresh. And so we need quite a bit of it here, so you can see the quantity that I have, because we're going to use about 1 2/3 loaves of Pepperidge Farm original white bread with the crusts cut off. So we do need this in that volume. The next thing we're going to do is we have to toast the pine nuts a little bit. Not much. You have to be very careful. Watch them. You only want them to be golden. So you start with an ample amount of olive oil. I'd say about certainly less than 1/4 of an inch in the pan, like 1/8 of an inch. But then on the heat, and you put in, I would guess 1/3 of a cup of pine nuts, because they go a long way. In one pepper, you want to see them scattered about, you know, evenly, but not too much, naturally, you know what I mean? So I'll put this in the oil and shake it down a bit. And then I say, watch them carefully, because you don't want these to burn. If they do, they're very expensive, and you're going to lose them, and you'll have to do it all over again. They've been on for about 7 or 8 minutes now, and you have to be very careful. You see what's happening? There's the color. There's the color that you want to achieve. So I'm going to take them off now. They've had enough. And they will continue to cook a little bit even when they're off the heat, so keep that in mind. Now, I've got my Pepperidge Farm original white, which you probably recognize from the grocery store. It's $3.79 a loaf, and And it's been around for a long, long, long time because my mom is gone now, as you know, the same situation is with many of you at our age. And this bread was around, gosh, even back then. And she swore by it. She said, this is the only bread that you can use for some of these breading recipes that I do. So here we have it. Here's half a loaf. I'm going to take it half a loaf at a time. And this with this beautiful diamond cut knife. This is a bread knife. You know, it has a little serrated edge. I'm going to cut the crusts off, see? And when you stack it up like this, it's easy to do. And you can save the crust for the birds out in the yard. And take out all these crusts. And then I'm going to show you what to do with this. Here it is, all decrusted, right? You're going to cut this into about 3/4 inch slice, lay it down, and then cut it again, and you've got cubes, right? And these cubes will go into a food processor where we are going to make them into coarse breadcrumbs. It works perfectly for that, you know, just absolutely dynamite. Okay, so we don't want to overload it, so that's about enough for now. And watch this. Short run, see, just that short run, and we've got this beautiful texture. You see? Isn't that beautiful? No problem. And then you put that in your bowl where it's going to wait for you to do the entire mix. Fantastic. Look at that. There are all those, the effort, you know, of putting together the breadcrumbs from the Pepperidge Farm original white. And this is what we've got, okay? And this should be a quantity that can stuff all 6 of those beautiful peppers, which are now in the oven. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our minced garlic on here, right, evenly, okay? Minced garlic, put it all in here. God bless paper plates. And then we're going to put our parsley in there, right, evenly all over. And after the parsley, you want to add those magnificent pine nuts. So you put them in, scattered all over. And now you're going to take, I've got here about 3/4 cup of olive oil. And you want to use pretty good olive oil, you know. And you start putting that in, a little bit at a time. And then you're going to mix it all together and get it a nice even mixture, you know. Nice even mixture. And then we're even going to put a little something a little bit unorthodox, you know, but I know that it's my thing. It's a way to just cut the bitterness which might come through from the garlic, you know, and that's just a little tiny bit, not just a teaspoon of superfine granulated sugar. That's all. Very, very little, see? Very little. Okay. And then also, I'm going to put a splash of chicken broth in here too. I will do that. Okay. We'll come back at you when we're ready to stuff those beautiful peppers which are about to come out of the oven. Here we go. The peppers are done to perfection in their first go in the oven, and they're ready to be stuffed. Here's my stuffing, which I tasted a little bit, and it's absolutely magnificent. And I hope that you guys will try this recipe, even though I know that the recipe seems a little overwhelming to all of you. It probably does, because there were quite a few steps and you know, a lot of things to do. But believe me, it's worthwhile because it's so good. Okay, so here we go. Take a look at this now. I'm going to take this beautiful stuffing and put it into these peppers. And you're not going to pack it real tightly. We're not going to do that. It wants to be fairly loose, but you know, just I'll show you. I'll show you. What a picture is worth 1,000 words, and just to show you, see, this is how you pack them. Not too tightly, but just right. Isn't that neat? Isn't that beautiful? Fluffy, nice. The top can go on. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Good. How's that? See? Okay, so here are the peppers all stuffed, the caps put back on, ready to rock and roll to go into the oven at 350. And I don't know, that'll be for a little while until everything is done to perfection. And we had a little bit of stuffing left over. So what we did was I said, oh, what are we going to do with this? I said to my wife, you know, and she said, carve out those tomatoes, and look what we got here. Isn't this marvelous? We got 4 tomatoes stuffed with the same stuffing, you know? Look at that. You see the pine nuts and the parsley and everything. Garlic is in there. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a real feast. It's going to be a real treat. So in any case, I'll see you on the other side of this when they come out of the oven. We'll show you what it's all about, and we'll do our tasting. And I'm sure we'll be in heaven with it. With great anticipation, you know. And I'm sure you're just as anxious to look at this as I am. And I think they're probably just about perfect. Look at this. Look at this. Wow. All right. All right. Put them up here and we'll take a look. Okay. Oh, they're done to perfection. No question about it. And you know what? I'm just gonna take I'm gonna sneak a little something here. Just a little bit, you know? Like this, right? I can't resist. Wow. The delicacy and the texture, the parsley, the garlic, the pine nuts, fantastic. You've got to try this recipe. It has really been our pleasure. My wife Maria's on the camera. I'm Peter. I'm so glad to be here doing this for you because this, my mother's original recipe, is something I've always wanted to share, and now you have it, okay? So happy cooking, enjoy the meal, and we'll see you next time.